Islam is built on two covenants, and these are spiritual covenants. One is the Shahada, under which Muslims are bound, the binding of a soul to the example and teaching of Muhammad. And the second covenant is what I'm going to be discussing in this session. This is the covenant of the Dhimma. It's the covenant for non-Muslims living under Islam. And if you could imagine two castles or two strongholds, spiritual strongholds, one containing Muslims and the other containing non-Muslims, and both controlled by Islam, that's the structure of Islam. It's provided a covenant for Muslims, but also a covenant of surrender for non-Muslims as well. And one of the challenges when you get involved in ministry to Muslims is that Christians can find themselves getting trapped in the stronghold for non-Muslims that's been set aside by Islam. So that there's not just the trap, as it were, of Islam, the spiritual powers and forces that have been set up to hold Muslims in captivity, but there's also, Islam has a strategy for binding and restricting non-Muslims as well. And it's very important when you're involved in mission outreach to Muslims that you understand the structure, the spiritual structure of those two covenants. When you're calling someone out of Islam into the Christian faith, you're calling them to be set free, to be saved, to be rescued. And it's important that you rescue them out of one fortress, not to put them in the other, but they'll be completely free as well. And also the Christian church that has laboured long under Islam and suffered greatly, it needs to be set free as well from its own bonds, the bonds of the Dhimma, which have contained it and constrained it. And I've seen many miracles of Christians who've been set free from fear and the bonds of the whole world of the Dhimma thinking, and have only then been able to be effective in evangelism to Muslims. So that's why it's important to go deeply into this second covenant, the covenant of the Dhimma, to explain how it works and why it needs to be resisted. In a later session, I will be providing prayers and a ministry strategy for coming against these two covenants and setting people free from them. So we will have the opportunity to go through that. But here we're going to begin with explaining the Dhimma Pact. And this is the first part of the session on understanding Islam in unpacking the Dhimma. There are two kinds of surrender that Islam offers to the world. The first kind is the submission of the convert. So you say, I surrender, literally. I become a Muslim. But the second kind of submission or surrender is the surrender of conquest, where a non-Muslim community agrees